Hey, we're about to start the show, and you know the drill. If you've been here before and you have something important to share, please add a capital letter Q to your comment. And if you are watching live for the first time, please let us know by writing the word new, and we'll give you a nice little welcome. Enjoy the broadcast. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook. I'm sorry I'm looking everywhere because I want to make sure that everything's set to go. Did you check out the little dude at the beginning? You know, sometimes I wonder if it gets old for people that watch all the time, that at the beginning of every broadcast we announce the guidelines, at a capital letter Q and so forth and so on. But then, I mean, every broadcast is bound to have at least one or two new people. So I don't want new people to feel left out if we don't give a helping hand and a nice little welcome. But you let me know if you like the little guy. If you didn't like the little guy, then we'll make sure that it goes away. I'm glad that at least Mijal liked the little guy. Thank you very much. I like that little dude at the beginning. Betsy Ann says, I like the little dude. Okay, well, fair enough. Maybe we keep the little dude for a while and we cut to the chase instead of spending so much time at the beginning. Albert, I'm so glad you're here because I have news for you, or news that you may be interested in. Christy loved the little guy. Thank you very much. I appreciate your feedback. Well, you know the drill. So let's get started with the news. We have a little bit of everything today, and we have food for thought. We have whining. We have complaining. We have good news. We have Tómala news. It's a very complete Thursday. So let's just go for it. For starters, yes, we start with a caca water complainer, and it's the same one that we see every week, and it comes from the same place that we report every week. Again, Tribuna de la Bahía is talking about the sewage along Basilio Vadillo. And don't think it sounds like a broken record. It is a broken record because the city doesn't do anything about it, or if they do, they don't communicate it eloquently. And we know the bottom line is that it doesn't matter if you call this place paradise. The city smells of sewage. So if you're a tourist thinking you're coming to paradise, you're coming to a city that doesn't smell any better or any worse than any metropolitan area anywhere. Basilio Vadillo and many areas of Emiliano Zapata smell. And that's just the way it is. This is a tómala. The Jalisco Electoral College has spoken. Previously, they announced that the next Puerto Vallarta mayor had to be a woman. Then we learned that Mayor Michel looked for ways to gain legal protection and seek re-election based on gender discrimination. And now, the Electoral College has rejected Mayor Michel's contest. He cannot seek re-election as a mayor for Puerto Vallarta because he is a dude. And there you have it. Tómala. Of course, this means that any other male pre-candidate does not stand a chance, at least not by the book. In this news item from Notisistema, we learned that the new airport in Costa Alegre has been concluded, and it will begin operating hopefully in March. Governor Alfaro announced this during a meeting of the Jalisco Hotel Association, so it's not a bunch of airline pilots or flight attendants that you're looking at in this photograph. And if you're wondering where the airport is actually located, well, you can see Puerto Vallarta on the upper left-hand corner. There's Puerto Vallarta, there's Guadalajara, there's Colima, and right here in the middle of nowhere, or seemingly in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of money down here because this is where Careyes is. This is where the new international airport is. So some people headed to this part of the state may benefit from the airport being there. Doesn't necessarily apply to most of us, but there you have it. New airport coming to our state sometime in the near future. And here's some sad food for thought from The Guardian. Experts say the endangered monarch butterfly numbers fell by 59% this year, blaming pesticide use and climate change for the reduction. It is well known that just as we welcome whales during the winter months, monarchs from east of the Rocky Mountains in the United States and Canada overwinter in Mexico's forests. The article is in English if you wish to read the details. Now, give me just 1 second. Much better. This next one, maybe it's because I read these articles over and over again. Maybe, I don't know. As we suspected, local authorities have come out praising the long weekend that we just went through with numbers and statistics that should be pleasing to learn. And they are. I mean, it's really good news. But I'm becoming older and perhaps jaded or maybe a tad cynical. Let me explain. This news item talks about hotel occupancy being or having been above 90% during the long weekend, which is lovely, and power to the hotels and power to the businesses that are located near the hotels where people stay. Then it talks about the number of cruise ship arrivals and number of cruise passengers that we have welcomed during the month of January. And then comes the obligatory number, derrama económica. Now, what is derrama económica, you may ask? It literally means economic spill, but translates more appropriately as revenue. So the article claims that the 30 cruise ship arrivals that docked in town last month amounted to approximately $12.1 million in revenue or in derrama económica. And my first reaction, or our first reaction, should be, wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of prosperity for Puerto Vallarta. It is actually 206,756,330 pesos. So I went and divided that number by 31, which is the number of days in the month of January. And it would seem that the average daily revenue for our city from cruise ship arrivals last month was of 6,669,560 pesos. And that's a fair amount of money. But who benefits actually? Oh my God, I caught myself sounding like Tucker Carlson, and that really frightens me. No, seriously, think about it. If every day of the month, the city received 6,669,000 pesos and change as economic revenue, where did that money go? And how was that money spent? I don't have an answer, but I do know that when cruise ship passengers get off the boats, they are shepherded, and we have talked about this before. They get shepherded to very specific stores that are under very specific arrangements with the authorities of the airport terminal. So who exactly is benefiting from this? We don't know. I don't know. If I was an investigative reporter, I might try to seek an appointment with the authorities at the terminal to find out more about this. But, how is everybody doing is a different matter. We seem to see that there are a lot of new tourists and passengers are arriving in increasing numbers, but I keep seeing some businesses not doing very well, and I keep seeing restaurants closing. So there is some food for thoughts. And Eric, yes, I appreciate what you're saying here. If there were 4,000 passengers and crew that would be around, that's 1,650 pesos per person in spending lunch, drinks, a tour, a couple of souvenirs. But which businesses actually benefit from this? So I'm not going to agree or disagree with you. I'm just wondering these things. You don't have to wonder these things. That's just me being crazy inquisitive. So maybe because this is the last news item, maybe we should just turn over to the weather and leave you with that little bit of food for thought. And we don't have to make a little sponsorship of my presentation today because my presentation is today. Let's just jump directly into the weather, although we will have some more food for thought in a second. The weatherman says, if you can't be, oh dear, if you cannot be immune to all the crimes you commit as president, then what's the point of being president? I'm not even going to touch that. That's a hot potato. 24 degrees right now in town. Humidity is high at 73%. And our weather forecast says it is going to be humid today with mostly clear skies throughout the day, a high of 28 and a low of 20. Then tomorrow, mostly clear skies in the morning with overcast skies in the afternoon. A high of 27 and a low of 19. And then Saturday, overcast skies throughout the day with a high of 27 and a low of 18. And this brings us back to me. Let's see what else is next. Yes. Okay, so disclaimer. This next segment is going to sound like I'm whining or I'm complaining, but trust me, I'm not. I really am looking at this from the point of view of how we're human beings. Some days we are in a good mood, sometimes not so much. Sometimes we are helpful, sometimes we are not in the mood to be helpful. Sometimes we behave nicely, sometimes we behave badly. Guilty as charged. So when I share this next segment with you, this has more to do with looking at ourselves and asking ourselves, are we behaving or being as helpful as we can be today in this particular situation? What am I talking about? Well, yesterday I always received a number of letters or emails every day after each broadcast. And yesterday, I received 2. And I want to share them with you. And I want to share my reaction to them. And I want to invite you to share your reaction to these 2 comments. Contestant number 1 wrote, "Hi, Paco. You deserve a nice brownie and a movie from all the great service you give us. Glad you had a good time, a groovy time. Devin and Ang from Toronto." Now, Devin and Ang did not share this information during the broadcast. They had to go out of their way, look at the show notes, find the contact link on the website, and took the time to send me this beautiful note. They did not even ask a question for me to answer. They simply said, "Hey, thank you and have a good day." And I want to say thank you, Devin and Ang, for being thoughtful and taking the time to send me this message. This is the first message of 2. Here is the second message that I received yesterday. And I'm not going to tell you who it came from because, well, you're going to put A and B together. Anyhow, second message came from me, says, no video. It says it's private. No video. It says it's private. That's 6 words. 6 words. No good morning, no good afternoon, no thank you, no context. Do you think I know what this person is talking about? I have no fucking idea. So I get that way sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel like answering. I don't feel like building strong sentences. So yes, I am throwing shade at this person, but I'm also looking at myself and looking at the fact that sometimes I'm not in the mood. It happens to everyone. But I ask you, which one of these two messages are you more likely to get excited about? Which one of these two messages are you more excited about answering? If you ask me, I'm not really concerned about this particular message. And you may tell me, well, maybe this guy is having a bad day. Well, let me tell you, this message comes from someone that has a website, a tourism-driven and information-driven website here in town, that writes every now and then, that submits corrections, and always writes like this. Never a good morning, never a thank you, never I thought you should know, never a nothing. So again, if you think I'm throwing shade, yes, I am throwing shade. But more importantly, are we always as thoughtful as we can be when we comment? Are we always as helpful? Yesterday or the day before, somebody was asking, what was that tour guide that you mentioned like sometime in the past? And, we try to be helpful, but I imagine myself walking into the offices of the Vallarta Tribune or the New York Times or any newspaper and say, sometime last year you wrote about trees. Can you tell me when that was? So this is just a reflection and an invitation to all of us to be mindful that some days we are more helpful than others, and maybe we can try to strive to be as user-friendly as possible. So that's that. Next, preparations are underway. This is about you, Albert. Preparations are underway for the next edition of Guadalajara's Light Festival, the largest lighting and illumination festival in all of Latin America, and it's going to take place on February 14 to 18. And I am going to leave you the website in the show notes because last year I happened to be in Guadalajara for the Light Festival for the first time ever. It coincided with an opera performance or a symphony. I actually don't remember what it was, but it was an absolutely stunning time to be in Guadalajara. And so anybody that is thinking of going to Guadalajara sometime in the near future, and I'm thinking about you, Albert, you may not want to miss this because it is truly spectacular. It takes over the large, it takes over a big part of the historic center, the historic downtown, and it is just amazing. So there you have it, in case anyone is heading to Guadalajara in the near future. And this next one I share because I got a kick out of the text in this message. It says it is mango season, but it says mango as in Van Gogh. And I thought it was a cute little pun in Spanish. Mango season, of course, goes from February to September, and it is from April to August that it is in its peak. So we get excited about mango season, and because I got a kick out of this particular illustration, I went and I asked artificial intelligence, give me a self-portrait of Vincent van Gogh painting a mango in his studio, and this is what I'm going to use for today's cover after the broadcast is over. Yay, artificial intelligence. And this brings us to the end of what I had ready for you. Now show me what you have ready for me. Let's take a look at some of your comments, and we'll take it from there. Starting with your good mornings, which I very much enjoy. I get a kick out of Albert because he likes cuates y cohetes so much that you don't even call it cuates y cohetes anymore. You just call it cuates. And I get a kick out of that. But of course, we know that Albert is referring to cuates y cohetes. Let's see. What do we have here? Boom, 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 boom. Good mornings. Comments about the little dude. Yeah, if we use the little dude, then maybe we will be able to have more time together. Dan says, discovered that Ave del Mar is a little custom swimsuit shop across the street from Ernesto's on Rafael Osuna. She also does alterations and mending and did an excellent job on Albert's shorts. Yes, there is a small custom swimsuit shop right around the corner, and it looks quite lovely. There you go. Let's see. What else do we have? Da 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 da. Oh, Eric, you're in town. I wonder if you're going to attend my music appreciation presentation at your hotel this afternoon. If you are, I look forward to it. If you're not, I'm still having a hot dog, and you know what that means. Let's see. This is sad. We avoid going downtown in large part because of the wheelchair wheels getting covered in caca water. That is so unfortunate because I know you and Kathy enjoy exploring the city with the wheelchair. Eric says, so happy to know that the mayor cannot be reelected. That makes two of us. Let's see. What else? What else we have? I'm looking for cues, and I am not finding any cues. There is a cue here from Paula that says the cruise ship is big business, but it is big business for whom? And that is, to me, the big question. I mean, I love it when the local tourism dude is like, oh yeah, we have this huge amount of revenue, but how is that revenue being used? Who is actually benefiting from it? I would love to see headlines that say, thanks to the revenue from cruise ship terminals, we were able to do A, B, C, D, and E. Wouldn't you like that? I don't think it's asking too much from the local government. Does that count the cruise ship docking fees? Lots of money there. Vicky, I don't know. It's never broken down. So it's unclear. Let's see what else we have. Dan says, I don't understand how people can watch Coffee and Headlines and not understand that this place is all about connections. How do you connect without being polite, kind, and pleasant to people? Well, again, I'll be the first person to admit sometimes you guys push my buttons and I turn into a little bitch. And I don't like it. We are all human. We are entitled to the occasional snafu, as long as we're willing to recognize it. But some people don't change. It's amazing. No video. It says it's private haiku. I don't even know if it has a proper number of syllables for a haiku, Rita. And frankly, coming from this dude, I couldn't care less. And if you're watching, you know who you are. A little kindness would take you somewhere. I mean, you do sit at a local bar once a week claiming that you are the answer guy. So I certainly hope that when you give answers, you are more verbose than when you ask questions. That's just a wish for you, not for me. Let's see. I've noticed lots of caca water in Emiliano Zapata. Tell me something new, Pat. It stinks over there. That's like our tourism destination. You guys call it South Side. You guys call it EZ. You guys call it, what else do you call it? Old Town. Yes. It's Emiliano Zapata, and it stinks of caca water. Let's see. Lots of people call it CYC''S. Lots of people are too fucking lazy to type entire words anymore. And that just fell out of my mouth. I am sorry. But every time I see somebody refer to Cinco de Diciembre as 5D, I think bras. I think bra sizes. I can't help it. Let's see. My second sentence didn't show up. Not always good for locals. Well, yep, I hear ya. And Nick says, so true, Paco. The cruisers are definitely filtered to specific businesses, and it's quite unfortunate. I know the person that runs that whole operation, and he is a person that was, or maybe still is, associated with the maritime terminal. His name is Carlos Gerard. No, it's not Carlos Gerard. I forget the name. He has a hacienda on the way to San Sebastián del Oeste. And I would love to sit down with this student, just ask him the question. I mean, so how does this work? Because maybe Coffee and Headlines would like to know how much we have to pay for the cruise tourists to come here and sit in my living room and talk to us about what's important to them. Of course, I don't want that, but you get the point. ZR and RZ bother me too. Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started with Zona Romantica and all that stuff. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. You can quote me, Brian. You can quote me. I did say that, and I will gladly, well, not gladly, but I will proudly own it. Sometimes you guys push my buttons, and I turn into a little bitch. Yes. And I'm sure I push your buttons, and you turn into little bitches, too. That's part of the fun. If we cannot be provocative from time to time, art is meant to be provocative. It's not like we're creating art here, but you know what I mean. Okay, 5D brass size. I have no idea. I have no expertise on brass. Although yesterday, oh my God, I forgot to show you a video. Okay, I'll save it for tomorrow. But I took a video yesterday. You missed my question above. Did your question have a Q, Paula? Oh. I have looked, excuse me for missing your question. I have looked up the translation of cuates y cohetes and gotten several translations. Could you give me yours? To me, cuates translates to buddies, and cohete is what happens when you get shit-faced. To be cohete in Spanish is to be shit-faced, to be drunk, to be tipsy, to be happy. So in my mind, and of course, if you want to know the translation, Paula, you can just go to their Facebook page and send them a note, because ultimately it's their restaurant, not mine. So just ask them, and they may agree with me that cuates y cohetes means buddies and opportunities to get drunk. But I could be wrong. Always the source of the question is best answered by, the questions are always best answered by the source. That's it. Yay! Another broadcast. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for pushing my buttons. Thank you for indulging my pushing your buttons as well. This afternoon, I am looking forward to a great music appreciation presentation. If I may say so myself, we're going to laugh, we're going to cry, we're going to go through the whole emotional spectrum. So if you're in town and you want to learn something about love songs from the musical stage and screen, you will be able to laugh and cry with me. So if you're not there this afternoon, hopefully I will see you sometime soon. Have an amazing day and stay in touch.